Let's talk about one of the most incredible and honestly one of the most brutal stories in the entire history of space exploration. We're diving into the Soviet Union's relentless, almost obsessive quest to conquer the planet Venus. It is an absolute epic of failure, shocking discoveries, and just unbelievable Brit.
Okay, to really get why this story is so nuts, you just have to look at this comparison. On Mars, we've got rovers like Curiosity that can just keep going for more than a decade. But on Venus, the all-time unbeaten survival record for a lander on the surface is just 127 minutes, barely 2 hours.
So you gotta ask, right? What is going on there? Why this massive, staggering difference? How can we build these machines that last for years on one planet, but they can barely survive a lunch break on our other next-door neighbor?
Well, the answer is pretty simple, and it's also absolutely terrifying. It's because Venus is, and this is no exaggeration, the single most hostile planet in our entire solar system. It's a place so extreme it makes Mars look like a five-star resort, and for decades we had no clue.
You know, for the longest time, Venus was this complete mystery box. We could see it shimmering in the sky, we could track its orbit perfectly, but the planet itself, totally hidden. It's wrapped in this thick, permanent blanket of clouds that you just can't see through. Nobody had any idea what was waiting for us down on the surface.
Then, back in the 1960s, the great astronomer Carl Sagan came up with this really dark possibility. He called it the runaway greenhouse effect. And the theory was this: what if Venus's super thick atmosphere was trapping heat in this vicious, unstoppable cycle? A feedback loop that just got hotter and hotter until it literally boiled the planet's oceans away and turned the whole world into a furnace. It was a horrifying idea, and there was really only one way to find out if he was right. We had to go there.
And you know what poured gasoline on that scientific fire? The Cold War. This was the absolute peak of the space race. So the push to get to Venus wasn't just about pure science, it was about national pride. It was about proving which superpower, the United States or the Soviet Union, had the superior technology and the superior ideology. And in the beginning, the Soviets were crushing it. I mean, they shocked the entire world with Sputnik in '57. Then they put the first human, Yuri Gagarin, into orbit in '61. So what's next? Well, while America was setting its sights on the moon, the Soviets were looking at something else, something closer, Venus. Their Venera program launched that very same year.
But here's the thing about space. It is brutally, unforgivingly difficult. And Venus made the Soviets pay for every single mistake. Their first attempts were total disasters. Venera 1, they lost contact with it just 7 days in. Venera 2 literally fried its own electronics before it even got close to the planet. But meanwhile, the American Mariner 2 probe, it worked perfectly.
And what Mariner 2 found during its quick 42-minute flyby, well, it confirmed Carl Sagan's absolute worst nightmares. The surface was a scorching 800 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt lead. The atmosphere was this thick, crushing soup of carbon dioxide. NASA took one look at that data and basically said, you know what? Let's focus on Mars. But the Soviets, they just doubled down. Venus was theirs to conquer.
So the Soviets thought they had the heat problem figured out, or at least they knew what they were up against. But Venus had another, even more violent surprise waiting for them. It wasn't just the temperature. It was the sheer, crushing weight of the air itself.
Okay, let's just walk through what happened to the Venera 4 probe in 1967. As its landing capsule hits the atmosphere, everything seems fine. The temperature outside is a pleasant 80 degrees. But as it falls, the atmospheric pressure starts to climb fast. The winds are screaming past it at 225 miles per hour. And then, still 16 miles above the ground, the signal just stops. The probe never even got close to the surface. It was literally squeezed flat by the immense pressure, crushed like an empty soda can. And the same exact thing happened to Venera 5 and Venera 6. The Soviet engineers were just stunned. Their probes, which they thought were tough, weren't even strong enough to survive the trip down. So now it's 1970. The game has totally changed. The US had just landed men on the moon, and that captured the imagination of the entire world. The Soviets, they needed a win, a big one. And that win was going to be the first soft landing on Venus. So they went back to the drawing board to build something that could literally survive hell.
And this was a huge shift in their thinking. The new Venera 7 probe wasn't so much a science lab as it was an armored tank. I mean, this thing had a reinforced titanium shell, it was packed with shock-absorbing foam, the science instruments were almost an afterthought. The #1 top-line only thing that matters goal was just to survive. But even with all of that incredible engineering, the landing was a total nail-biter. The parachute actually tore during the descent, so the lander just plummeted the rest of the way, slamming into the surface at almost 40 miles an hour. By all rights, it should have been smashed to pieces on impact, but it wasn't.
Against all odds, it made it. It bounced, it tipped over on its side, but for 23 incredibly precious minutes, it sent back the first ever data transmitted from the surface of another planet. The temperature? A blistering 887 degrees Fahrenheit, and the pressure was a mind-boggling 92 times that of Earth's. The Soviets had finally done it.
Okay, so surviving was one thing, a massive thing, but that wasn't the ultimate prize. After proving they could actually get a probe down in one piece, the next goal was so much bigger. It was to actually see and hear this alien world, to bring Venus to human senses for the very first time.
So after all of that, all those failures, all that money and brainpower, and that one incredible success, what did this place even look like? Well, in 1975, Venera 9 was about to finally pull back the curtain and show us.
And the pictures it sent back were haunting. It was a dead world. The first photos ever taken from the surface of another planet revealed this barren, alien landscape of sharp, broken volcanic rocks, all sitting under this hazy, oppressive orange and yellow sky. Later missions showed these huge, flat plates of hardened lava. It was alien, and it was completely, utterly devoid of life.
And then came Venera 13 in 1982. This was the ultimate explorer. Not only did it take the first color pictures of the surface, but it carried a microphone. And it captured the first sound ever recorded on another world. This eerie, low-pitched howl of the thick Venusian wind blowing across that dead landscape.
So why does all of this matter? I mean, beyond being an incredible story of engineering and perseverance, the Venera missions delivered a really profound and frankly chilling scientific lesson for all of us back here on Earth.
Just look at this. It really is a tale of two planets. Venus and Earth are so similar in size, they're like planetary twins. But today, they are worlds apart. We now think that Venus once had oceans of liquid water. Maybe it even had life. But its atmosphere, which is now more than 96% carbon dioxide, triggered that runaway greenhouse effect that Sagan warned about. It boiled the oceans away and baked the planet into the inferno it is today. Venus is Earth's ghost.
Now you might be wondering, okay, but that was decades ago. With all our modern tech, why haven't we sent a new rover that can last for months on Venus? And the simple, shocking answer is, we can't. The same incredible heat that melted lead back in the 60s would instantly destroy the sophisticated, delicate computer chips that run our modern spacecraft. For now, the surface of Venus remains tantalizingly out of reach.
In the end, the Soviet conquest of Venus wasn't just a Cold War trophy. It was a warning, a message in a bottle from a dead world. It showed us, in horrifying, undeniable detail, how a planet's climate can completely break, perhaps beyond repair. It is the ultimate cautionary tale, written in the sky right next door. And the only question left is, are we listening?